Good evening, everyone. Hi, thank you for joining the session today with CPA Australia and Sunvitest. My name is Prashini from CPA Australia. Again, I hope everyone is doing fine and staying safe. Today, we're going to talk a bit about the CPA Australia program. For some of y'all who are not really familiar about the CPA Australia program, this will be the best time for you to ask whatever questions that you want to ask. Don't be shy. I'm very friendly. So please feel free to leave any questions that you would like to ask me today. And of course, today on board, I also have a rep from Sunvitest, which is Michelle. If there's any questions for her later regarding Sunvitest, she'll be able to address them to you. All right. So let's not waste any more time. Thank you for those of you all who actually joined earlier. So let me go straight into my slide. I'm going to stop sharing my video because the network has been really bad. So to make sure this whole thing flows properly, I'm going to stop sharing my video. All right. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, I will give you an overview about the CPA Australia program in this particular presentation. As I said earlier, if there's any questions, please don't feel shy and ask those questions. All right. Now, a quick introduction about CPA Australia. So as of now, we have more than 166,000 members globally. And what I would like to emphasize is that CPA Australia has been in operation for more than 130 years globally, right? The reason why I like to emphasize this is because, I mean, globally, yes, we have been in business for more than 130 years, but I would like each and every one of you all to take a wild guess in terms of how long do you think we have been in Malaysia? So how long do you think CPA Australia has been in Malaysia? If you don't mind, can you just leave your comments at the bottom before I go to the next slide? All right. So this is a very interesting fact because CPA Australia has been in Malaysia for more than 60 years. So yes, we have been in Malaysia for more than 60 years. And the reason why I emphasize or I'm highlighting this point is because when I usually speak to students, and again, I manage UUM as well. So I have, public universities under me. It is very interesting to see that, students think that, CPA Australia has only been in Malaysia for maybe 5 years or 10 years or so. So when I tell them that we've been here for more than 60 years, they are in shock. Like, huh? Yeah, betul, seriously? Like, so yes, guys, we have been in Malaysia for more than 60 years. So in terms of the professional qualification, in terms of the designation, CPA Australia is also one of the top qualifications that people tend to choose to pursue. Okay? Now, let's go next. So what you can see here is a quick overview about our global network. So you will see our offices and branch locations. And again, the reason why we emphasize on this is to show you that the kind of support that we actually give our members. So wherever you see those tiny yellow dots, those are our offices and branch locations to actually support our members, right? And if you were to see in the globe where you have the dark blue shaded color on the map, that is actually our member presence. Now, it is also very important for those tuning in today to actually understand that, because a lot of people tend to ask me, hey, Miss, CPA Australia is only recognized in Australia, is it? Is it recognized here? Or, so please bear in mind that the CPA Australia designation is actually a globally recognized designation. So regardless of where you go, the designation will take you to places, all right? So it is not limited to Australian grads. It is not limited to the country Australia. So we have a lot of CPA members in Malaysia as well, and of course in other countries, right? So very important point. Please note that. Okay. Now, these are some of our recognized employer partners. Globally, in total, we have more than 400 plus recognized employer partners. What you see here is some collaboration that we managed to feature in our Malaysian division. Of course, there is more, but we can't put all of them in this slide. Okay. Now, a quick snapshot in terms of some of our member profile, just to give you all a feel of the kind of members that we have and what kind of roles do they play in the industry, all right? So what you can see here, we have a good mix of male and female. We also have powerful leaders who are females in the industry. And bear in mind for CPA Australia, for us, it is beyond just the accounting firms, right? It is not that, a lot of people think that, I only need to be professionally qualified if I'm working for the big firms, right? Now, what you can see in this particular slide is we have members across various different fields, right? So you're talking about banking, investment, you're talking about like KLCC, and you also have the GLCs, government linked companies and so forth. Now, when you move into the next slide, you will also see a similar member profile, but again, it emphasizes on the different type of industries that they come from, right? Of course, we have members who are partners in the top accounting firms, which are the big fours. That is definitely a must. We do have members there, but I think the whole objective of this slide is to show you that not necessarily our members come from the accounting firm, which is, it's not limited to the big fours, right? Moving forward, right? Now, what you see in front of you is some of our high achievers who have done very well in the CPA Australia program. Some of them have done it on a full-time basis with Sunway Test, like what you can see here, Sinyi. Right after her graduation, she actually enrolled for the CPA program at Sunway Test. And in semester 1, 2020, Sinyi actually scored 3 higher distinction in 1 exam sitting, right? And on the other side, we have Krismin. Krismin is formerly a Uniraza student. Currently, she is with Bank Negara Malaysia. Previously, she was with PwC. So she left PwC and now she's with Bank Negara Malaysia. And Krismin as well scored 5 high distinction and 1 distinction. And of course, we have Bingswan, who's currently working with KPMG, a former graduate from MMU, who's actually scored 5 high distinctions and 1 distinction. Now, what this slide aims to deliver, the message that we aim to deliver is, a lot of students tend to ask me, Miss, is CPA Australia easy? Is ACCA easy? Look, at the end of the day, it's a professional qualification. It is not going to be easy. Every professional qualification has its strength. The ones that will actually achieve are the ones who really put in the hard work, the ones who really dedicate and put their mind into it to actually achieve this course. It is not impossible. It is definitely possible, right? Now, moving next to our next slide, of course, we're talking about, earlier you saw some of them did it on a full-time basis. Some of them did it while they were working on a part-time basis. Now, what you see here is Ashikin is actually currently working with Telecom Malaysia. So she actually scored high distinction for her first paper, which is Strategic Management Accounting. And I think what is very interesting about Ashikin is that she mentioned how it was very helpful to her in terms of the online learning resources and so forth. So again, it is very important for you to understand what you are actually looking for. What is a good fit for you, right? One size doesn't fit all. So, everybody has our strengths and weaknesses. So you need to identify that to be able to decide which will be the best professional qualification for you to pursue. Okay? Now, let's touch base on the accounting landscape today. Well, I think a lot of us are very aware and, in terms of the rapid change that is happening in the industry, technology is kicking in everywhere. We hear it's all about AI, RPAs, automation, so many things. People are talking about robots taking over your job. I mean, look, that I would say, if your knowledge is limited in terms of understanding how AI comes into play to make our job actually easier, right? But what is actually needed today is, at the end of the day, a robot can replace certain job function that we do on a daily basis, right? Now, when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to communication, when it comes to interpersonal skills, when it comes to you being the touch of a human being, that cannot be replaced by a robot. Now, when you talk about things like vouching, that can be replaced by a robot. Why? These are things that can be done by a machine. But when you come to, having the human touch, betul? When you have a friend, you can feel their emotion, you can understand what they feel. Those skills can never be taken away by a robot. So guys, I think as students who are tuning in today, you need to understand that what is very important is that you have these skills in yourself, right? Teamwork, verbal collaboration. I know back in UUM and so forth, I mean, as long as you're in university, there are a lot of activities that you guys do. There are a lot of events that you guys do. I have personally experienced it myself. Unfortunately, now with, the COVID situation, everything is going virtual, so you don't feel the same touch anymore. I know we all feel the same, but again, don't limit yourself, right? Now, when you do this kind of events, I know there's a lot of conflict that happen between team members. That is normal. But what is important is how many of them can actually resolve the conflict. How many of y'all are actually willing to address the conflict? That means you berani to go up to them and say, hey, there's a problem. We need to speak about the problem. Most of the time, we will just run away from it. So guys, you need to understand, you're talking about the future job skills in accounting. These skills are utmost important and necessary to all of us, right? There is a reason why I'm emphasizing on this. You will understand as I go forward. I will relate back to my slides. Now, what does it mean to be a CPA? All right, as I mentioned earlier, the CPA designation is internationally recognized. All right, and something that all of y'all need to understand is that the CPA Australia program is beyond numbers only. There are technical elements, but we are more than that. Okay? So, because look, when you talk about accounting, every time when we mention about accounting, people are thinking, oh, these guys are just number crunchers. It's all about numbers. No, that has changed long time ago. Accountants are viewed in a different way today. Okay? So again, it is very important for you to understand what you are looking for. What are you expecting to be? What is the direction that you are looking for your future, right? Now, let's put away this one. Okay, so now, this is a pathway that is a growing pathway for CPA candidates, which is to pursue the program on a full-time basis, all right? So for those of y'all who are interested to pursue the CPA program on a full-time basis, you can do that with Sunway Test. And recently, Yayasan Peneraju, this is applicable for Bumiputras only. They have actually come up with a new framework. So for those of y'all who are intending to pursue CPA Australia on a full-time basis, if you're looking at doing the professional program, or, let's say you want to start working after you graduate. Let's say you start working for a year and then you start preparing for your exam key. Excuse that noise. I'm so sorry for that. All right. So there are other options available. You can do it on a full-time basis. You can do it on a part-time basis. Like for most of my students, from what I know, when I ask them, after you finish your degree, what do you want to do? They say, Miss, I want to work. All right. So most of y'all, after you finish your degree, you want to work, which I think there's nothing wrong with that, because we all have family commitments. Some of us are on scholarship, then probably we need to help the family, we need to help our siblings. So tak apa, you start working. In fact, when you start working, it is then better to pursue a professional qualification. Why? You have better understanding because you have hands-on learning experience while you actually work. Okay? So again, if you would like to find out how the full-time program or the part-time program works with Sunway Test, you feel free to reach out to them. Later, you can see the flashes of their email address. All right? Now, what does a CPA program design? How is a CPA program designed to produce the kind of members that we are looking for, or what we expect our members to be? When we actually develop the CPA program, a lot of consideration is given to the global change, the global environment, because the CPA program and the designation must be able to support our members regardless of where they are and what they do, right? Now, there's a lot of misconception, that means salah tanggap, where people think that CPA Australia is a very easy paper. Actually, they are very wrong. And mostly those who say this, one, maybe they never attempted the paper. Secondly, maybe they did it long time ago. Things are very different now, right? But again, please bear in mind that the CPA program is designed to produce candidates who will be technically skilled and solution driven. Being technically skilled is one thing, tapi being solution driven is another thing. A lot of us are very technically sound. We have technical knowledge. But in terms of providing solution, payahlah sikit, it's a bit tough, right? Now, we also have designed the program to ensure there are element of, strategic leadership, whereby, you are able to apply such broad terms in the global environment, all right? We want our candidates and our future candidates to be strategic leaders in the business. Like what I said earlier, now, accountants are just not number crunchers. It's not all about numbers only, right? You are the voice in the organization. You understand the numbers. Now, only you can interpret the numbers and only you can give the best advice because you understand the numbers, right? Of course, be adaptable to change and to be able to communicate and collaborate effectively. Right? So you need to understand that all these elements are actually incorporated in our subjects, okay? Which is very, very interesting, right? Okay, so now what you see in front of you, these are CPA Australia's core subject. So for CPA Australia, if you are exempted from the 6 foundation papers, you will be then left with another 6 professional papers, okay? Now, what you see in front of you are the 4 core papers. Of course, we have ethics and governance, strategic management accounting, financial reporting, global strategy, and leadership. Now, global strategy and leadership is our capstone paper. All right. It is a very interesting paper. It's actually based on a case study, right? Financial reporting, of course, we can't run away from financial reporting. Some people like financial reporting. Some of them just don't like it. But unfortunately, it's a professional paper and it is compulsory for our candidates to actually pursue this paper. Okay. Now, strategic management accounting. Some of y'all must be pursuing this particular subject in your degree. But bear in mind, this will be a bit more deeper as compared to what you're actually learning in your degree, right? Ethics and governance, of course, very important element for the CPA Australia program. So as what I said earlier, these are the 4 core papers that you will need to attempt. Moving forward, these are the elective subjects that you can actually choose from. So there are 4 core subjects compulsory plus 2 elective subjects, right? So usually our students will take Malaysia tax. Now, when it comes to tax, right, not necessarily, our students choose it because they want to do tax. Some of them take tax because they said they like it, whether they're going to use it or not, but they say it doesn't matter. It's a choice, right? But then you have the other option where you can do contemporary business issue, financial risk management. So these three are a bit more global. The others are a bit more, Australian centric. So yes, these are the options that you can choose from for your elective subject. Okay. Now, what is very interesting about CPA Australia, I would say, and based from the feedbacks that I've actually received from people, is that the kind of resources that we actually provide our candidate with, it is, I would say that nobody can come close to it, right? Okay, so what you're seeing in front of you, the reason why our candidates do very well, and we stand at the 60% global pass rate for our subjects, it's because of the kind of support that we actually provide our students with, right? This means, besides the tuition support that you actually get from Sunway Test, for an instance, you also have your own learning platform whereby you are guided throughout your whole semesters. All right. So from business simulation, some of y'all may be wondering, what is business simulation? Look, as a learner lah, right? So macam in high school, our learning needs, most of it is textbook, correct? University, there is textbooks, there is classes, there are some sort of, e-learning platform, betul tak? So now for CPA Australia, things like business simulation, how we have designed this particular resource is based on a mode of gamification. So it's like you role playing, right? Because accounting can be so dry and boring, some subjects can be so dry and boring. We have made our learning some learners are visual learners. Some learners like to read books, right? Some learners like to watch video. Some may use all different type of learning resources. All right. Now, this is a very important element when it comes to studying when it comes to studying a professional paper. Okay. So, with all these resources made available, there is no reason for you to actually fail your paper. But again, some students fail to use these resources. Now, when you don't use these resources, then it becomes tough lah. You have to use the resources. Okay. So these are all the resources that we have made available for our students. And not only that, these are the additional resources that we have actually implemented. So we have pre-semester recorded webinars, we have downloadable study notes, there are weekly recorded webinars, there are mid and end semester tests. A lot of support made available. Okay? And CPA Australia is an open book exam. But when I say open book exam, please don't go into the test center without knowing your study guide. You must do your indexing properly because it is a point of reference. It's not that, when you go into the exam hall, that's the first time you're going to flip your textbook, then you're going to suffer. Okay? So it's an open book exam. You can carry your study notes and so forth inside. All right? It is actually allowed for you to actually refer to your notes. Okay, so let me see whether I'm able to show you this little video that I have here. I hope it works. So let me try to play it.
We know that when you're learning something new, being able to practice and apply the theory is a great way to enrich your understanding and build your confidence in the subject matter. When you study ethics and governance, for example, you'll have access to a range of interactive learning resources, including this business simulation. The simulation will challenge your decision-making based on the fictitious district hotel group and enable you to gain insights into how well you're applying content from the study guide. In this simulation, you will play the role of a junior accountant who is responsible for analysing and reporting on the launch of new hotels within the group. You should draw on the content learned from your study guide, make the choices, see the impact, and learn from your results to see how well you understand the knowledge.
Okay, so that's a sample of one of our business simulation. So for business simulation, it's made available for the subject Global Strategy and Leadership, Strategic Management Accounting, and Ethics and Governance. All right. So earlier that you saw, that was for Ethics and Governance. Okay. Now, just to show you a case study example, it's actually a video as well. This is just to give you an overview about how we actually help our students learn. Okay.
Real-life case studies support the subject modules by giving you the opportunity to apply your knowledge. The Deepwater Horizon case study will assist your learning in ethics and governance by examining issues such as board and management accountability in the context of the oil spill disaster. The case study is interactive and easy to navigate and uses enriched resources such as videos, newspaper articles, and knowledge checks to help you apply your learning and develop a deeper understanding of the subject matter.
Okay, so this is what we call guided learning. So it is not to say CPA Australia ni senang. It's not that we are easy. It is just that the kind of resources that we have, the kind of support that we actually give our students, that's the reason why our students do very well. That's all. Okay. So for those of y'all who have further questions in regards to, in terms of our video resources and so forth, feel free to drop us a message and we'll be happy to answer that question. All right. Besides that, let's say if you're studying online, there's also a forum called Ask the Expert Forum, and you're also able to form online study groups. All right. For those who have actually enrolled in that particular semester, you can actually join those study groups. Okay. And as I mentioned to you, there are options for you to take tuition with Sunway Test as well. So yes, again, it depends on what you want to do and how you want to do. When you talk about the CPA program, it is all about flexibility. It is totally up to you. Okay. Now, in terms of work experience, of course, all professional body will require you to fulfill the work experience. Now, if you were to see for CPA Australia, besides technical skills, we also require you to fulfill other 3 different types of skills, as you can see: personal effectiveness skills, business skills, and leadership skills. All right. So it's very simple. We will give you the list of skills. You will just need to choose, like for an instance, for technical skills, you must select 4 out of this subsection to fulfill. Okay. Then when it comes to personal effectiveness, these are the skills that we require you to fulfill too, right? Now, when it comes to business skills, these are the 2 skills that you will need to fulfill. Now, when it comes to leadership skills, it is also very interesting. So again, I think from the very beginning of point, I've been saying that, CPA Australia program is not all about number. No, we are more than that. It is very important for us to deliver and to ensure that our members are beyond numbers only, to remain relevant in the current competitive industry. Okay? All right. Now, also, I would say this. Look, I know a lot of y'all have, will ask this question, why CPA Australia, what's the difference between other professional qualification and so forth, right? But again, I think before we even get there, if any of y'all have such questions, again, please feel free to leave a comment. But I think what is very important for all of y'all to understand is that the member support that you actually get from the professional body. I mean, besides like what you can see here, you have ample of online resources. There are small, short courses that you can take for free with CPA Australia. There are free training and development for you to actually fulfill your training requirement hours to maintain your membership. All right. So as I mentioned, there are professional resources, there are books, there are magazines, there are ample of resources made available to you, right? That is our role to our members, okay? This is a sample of how our In the Black magazine looks like. As of now, we have gone fully digital for our In the Black magazine. So this is CPA Australia's magazine where we feature interesting people. And just to let you all know, this year we actually have a global congress. So I'm not sure how many of you all know George Clooney. So George Clooney is a Hollywood actor, my favorite actor actually. His wife Amal Clooney, who is a famous activist, she will be speaking in our global congress. And this time around in our global congress, we have interesting lineups of speakers from the global arena. So it is going to be so interesting. I think no professional body has actually done this. So something to look out for if you guys would like to participate. Of course, there's a price to pay, but I would say that it's definitely worth every penny. Okay. Now, for students like you, we have something called the CPA Australian Network. You can find this link in our website. What will happen is that we expose you to graduate opportunities. We try to connect you to employers. There are a lot of tips as well that we actually share to our students. For an example, how to study last minute. We talk about technology. We talk about preparing you for the working world. There are a lot of support and information made available to you. Okay, so you may join that. So again, as I was mentioning to you, we have things like career evening. We have events where we do with Malaysian students studying overseas. Of course, we also have the opportunity for you to be our brand ambassador, and many other different activities that CPA Australia do with our students. Okay. Now, I'm actually coming to an end to my presentation because I'm more curious I would like to actually answer your questions. I'm sure a lot of y'all have a lot of questions. So I would really prefer to do that. Don't be shy. Don't feel afraid. But before we go there, can you all do me a favor and actually scan this QR code for me? So go ahead and scan the QR code. For those of you all who are not able to scan the QR code, I've actually put in the link there. Okay, so I'm going to go next. All right, so this is my contact number. You can always email us, and later, that our little email address will be running through at the bottom. So you feel free to reach out to either me or Michelle from Sunway Test. Okay. All right. So let's dive into questions. Right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hold on, yeah. Okay, so my video is back on. I'm not sure. Can you all see me? Okay, hello, hi, I'm back. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some questions from the floor. So for those of y'all who have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me those questions. I'll be more than happy to actually answer the questions. Okay, so the first question, are there any exemption fees that I have to pay? All right, for CPA Australia, as I mentioned to you, if you are an undergraduate degree, if you have an undergraduate degree and if you did accounting and finance, you will be exempted from 6 foundation papers of CPA Australia, right? And there is no exemption fees charged. right? So there is no need for you to pay an exemption fees for CPA Australia. So when we say that we actually grant you exemption fees, when we grant you exemption, there is no exemption fees involved. So you do not pay anything. Okay? It's FOC. Can I have the next question? What is the requirement to get exemptions in foundation level? Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you come from an accredited university, so majority of the public university and the private universities in Malaysia are accredited by CPA Australia, right? Now, the meaning when we say accredited is we have assessed your degree qualification. We have looked at the subject offerings that your university has covered, and we have grant them the exemption from our foundation papers, right? So there's nothing much for you to worry. All you need to do is submit your application to us, and we will actually do an assessment of your application. And from that, you will know that you have been exempted from the foundation level. So just to cap, if you are a public university student, let's say if today it's University Utara Malaysia, you will be exempted from the foundation papers. Next, please. Do I need to have work experience to become a CPA? Now, when you start on the CPA Australia journey, so when you first submit your application, right? So you become an associate member, okay? Now, for CPA Australia, you are actually able to use the designation associate member. So you will usually put it at A as A bracket AUST dot close bracket. So for CPA Australia students, you can actually use the ASA designation, all right? It is actually recognized when you're undergoing the program, okay? Now, you do not need to have prior work experience to become a CPA. Let's say you graduated from university and you start working, right? Now, as I mentioned to you, you need 3 years of work experience to actually fulfill the requirement to then, advance to the CPA designation, all right? So ASA, while you are doing the program and completing the 6 papers, then you gain your 3 years work experience in the same time. While you're doing the program, you can gain your work experience. And for those of y'all who have internship experience for 6 months, that will also be taken into consideration, okay? So 6 subjects. While you're doing the 6 subjects, you can fulfill your work experience requirement. Once you fulfill your work experience requirement, you will then be advanced to the CPA designation. Very simple, very small method, don't worry. And please remember that earlier I showed you all about recognized employer partners. It is not compulsory for you to work with our recognized employer partners. You can work anywhere or with anyone, okay? Next. How many subjects can I sit for in one exam sitting? Okay, now for CPA Australia, there are 2 semesters in a year. So 2 semesters in a year, right? So if there's 2 semesters in a year, there are 2 exams in a year, okay? Each semester, you can take a maximum of 3 subjects, right? Now, if you were to do it on a full-time basis with Sunway test, you can actually complete the program in 12 months. Just 12 months, okay? So 1 semester, 3 subjects. 12 months you complete 6 subjects, okay? So in 1 exam sitting, maximum you can take 3 subjects, okay? That is fine. Is there any fixed sequence of subject that I should enroll? No. So for CPA Australia, there is no sequence. Maksudnya, there is no okay, you must do this paper first, then this paper. No, there's no such thing. Except for that 1 capstone paper, which is called Global Strategy and Leadership. All right? Global Strategy and Leadership is our capstone paper. So to be able to take that capstone paper, because it's our core paper, you will need to complete the 3 core papers before you take the capstone paper. All right. So in some situations, some students, they will complete all 5 papers and then take Global Strategy and Leadership, the capstone paper, as a last paper. So as long as you don't attempt Global Strategy and Leadership, you can attempt the other papers. All right. So you can attempt Global Strategy and Leadership, the capstone paper, once you have completed the 3 core papers. Besides that, selain tu, there is no sequence. It is up to you. You can even start with an elective subject first. It is totally up to you. Okay. Remember, I mentioned earlier, CPA Australia is all about flexibility. So flexibility is there everywhere. Okay. Next question. How long do I take to complete the CPA program? Is there any time frame to complete the whole program? Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the fastest, paling cepat you can complete the CPA program is in 12 months. Okay. So in 12 months, you can actually complete the CPA program, right? Now, let's say after you graduate, then after that, you want to start working, and then you want to do a professional qualification, right? So on an average, a working student will usually take about 3 to 4 years. Again, as I said, it is up to you, all right? But you are given 6 years to actually complete the 6 papers. So you have 6 years to complete all the papers. How fast, how slow, it's up to you. The flexibility is there, all right? Tapi for those of you all who are going to start working, my advice has always been 1 paper each semester cukup. Because the aim here is not just to pass the paper. The objective here is to do very well in your exam. So ingat, siapa yang nak pursue professional qualification, janganlah fikir nak pass je. Your whole aim is to ensure that you do very well in those subjects. Okay? So it is very, very important in terms of you choosing the right professional qualification for you to do. Okay? Yes. Do we have any more questions or are we done? Minimum requirement for students to join the CPA program. Okay. Hi, Ira. Thank you very much for your question. Okay, let's put it this way. The CPA program is benchmarked at a postgraduate level. All right. So kalau dia benchmark at a postgraduate level, our minimum requirement is for you to complete a first degree. Kena complete your first degree. Okay. I dah cakap because our benchmark is at a postgraduate level. So when you meet a CPA member or when you meet a CPA candidate, bear in mind they all have a degree. Okay. So minimum requirement for a student to join the CPA program is to have a degree. All right. Tapi sekarang ni we have something new, right? Where students can actually complete up to 3 papers in their undergraduate degree. Mungkin either you can start on 2 main papers during your final year. All right. Again, it is totally up to you because final year is a very heavy year for you guys. Betul tak? So that is totally up to our students, but this is a very new initiative. So kalau you were to follow the proper route, by right, as long as you fulfill our foundation requirement, that means kalau your university has completed teaching you certain subjects that is required for you to gain exemption daripada kita punya foundation level, then you can actually take up another 3 more papers, which is the professional level with CPA Australia. Okay? Ira, don't worry. Later, our numbers were shared earlier and our email address will also be shared earlier. If you have any questions, you can WhatsApp me. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Anybody else? Do I need to get a CA's approval for work experience? Okay. Hi, Violet. Thank you very much for your question. all professional body will require you to get a person who is professionally qualified, not limited to CAs or CPAs, as long as they are professionally qualified and their qualifying body is under IFAC. So it is not limited to only CA. Anybody who is professionally qualified can actually sign off on your work experience, right? I understand there are some controversial questions. That is always a norm of a question. So we are going to flash out the email addresses. For those of y'all that, I know some questions were not answered, just be mindful that we are sensitive towards all professional bodies. And I would like to emphasize that, guys, all professional qualification has its strength, all right? It is very important for you to decide what is the best for you, all right? And how to decide that? Yes, go and do your search, go and do your research, look at their subject syllabus, look at their support, and so forth. And my email address is actually running now. Take a screenshot, send me a quick email, and I'll be in touch with you, all right? Or just to be nice, since any of y'all were to miss my contact number, I'm going to read out my contact number now. For the questions that was not answered in the earlier session, my number is 012-229. I always tend to forget my number. So 012-229-6746. 229-6746. All right. So I hope Sunny Test team, can you all just share my number as well in the comment box? So for those of you all, please feel free to reach out to me. I can speak Bahasa very well as well. Oh, no. Sorry for that. I've got dogs at home. So anyway, thank you very much, guys. Our email address are there. Please feel free to reach out to us. Jangan malu-malu. Siapa yang tanya soalan tu, I tak makan orang. Please feel free to reach out to us kalau ada apa-apa soalan. Alright. And thank you very much again for joining this session. Please stay safe. Wear your mask. Don't get into trouble. Alright. Thank you very much, guys. Good night. Bye.